Welcome to another episode of Taproot TV. Today we're going to give you 3 awesome tips for designing your human performance program. Now, tip number 1 is to go beyond training people to try harder. Now, I know you think, how can I just train people to try harder and get them to do more? But a lot of human performance programs, the tactics that they're putting in place, the ideas that they're doing are all about teaching people to catch their own mistakes. Now, why do people start with this? Why do people start at the bottom in their organizations? Well, there's a lot of people out there that are telling you that if you just do this with your operators, just do this with your people, they'll be less likely to make a mistake. But I want to challenge you. Are people really good at catching their own mistakes? So I've got a little video here that I want you to watch. And while you're watching this video, I want you to pay really close attention, and see if you can catch everything. So what you're going to do in this video, your challenge is to count how many people in orange shirts get subs. So go ahead, start counting. Remember, we don't want the people in the blues, we don't want the whites, we just want the people in oranges. So just pay close attention, don't get distracted by anything, just the people in oranges that are getting subs. Count all the subs that you're going to get. Hopefully you've been doing a really good job keeping count of everything. And let's see how you did. So 7 people got subs. Now, did you get all 7 people? But there was more to it, huh? Did you notice the pizza truck? What about the fact that the guy's wearing glasses now? Did you see those things? Now, this is the fun part from this video, comes from Homeland Security. Did you see the suspicious bag drop-off? I can tell you for a fact that my first time viewing this, I never saw that package. And I knew what I was looking for too. So I want you guys to think about this. When you watch it, watch the video over again if you need to. Move back and then watch it again. But what I want you to do is to see, did you catch all of the changes? Did you notice the guy with the suspicious package? And how many subs did you count? Comment in the below and let us know the answer to those questions. Now, what I have found in my time showing people this video, some people recognize the kind of video they're looking at, right? You knew it was a change video, and so you were focusing in on all the different changes that were happening. And what I found with those people is they normally don't get the right number of subs. They don't get the right number of people that got sandwiches, because they were so focused on this other thing. They missed the task entirely, which was counting the number of subs handed out. I have never really seen people notice the backpack one, with a couple exceptions to people that were actually in law enforcement and Homeland Security. They noticed it, but that was a very minority. And a lot of people just don't even see the changes that happen because they're so focused on the task. Now, what does this mean? Why did I show you this video to say, hey, let's look at this human performance task? Well, if all of your tasks are focused on those getting people to be better at analyzing and better at catching their own mistakes, you're really going to end up failing a lot. You know, why do you think experts push this stuff forward? They teach all these techniques to catch your own mistakes, like STAR, attention to detail, questioning attitude. And what I have found, and what the research has shown, is that all of these techniques, while they sound nice, really don't improve human performance. It sounds like they're improving human performance. It sounds like we're going to be better at doing our jobs. But realistically, these techniques are just telling people to try harder, telling people to focus more, and telling people that they need to be more careful. Now, I want you to think back in your own experience. Has telling someone to be more careful really ever worked? Yes, we do it with our kids a lot, don't we? We tell them, you've got to be more careful, or hey, this is a dangerous thing, you need to be mindful of it. But realistically, that doesn't stop people from getting hurt. And that's the same with your improvement program. If training isn't the secret, then what is? What do we need to be focusing on? How do we need to put our efforts And where do we need to put our efforts to make sure that our programs are working? If we're not going to be doing training anymore, if we're not going to be doing these human performance tools that are just telling the people to be more careful or telling them to catch their own mistakes, then we need to do something different. We need to focus on something different. So this is tip number 2 here. Tip number 2 is to focus on making systems that are intuitive to do right and hard to do wrong. This is actually my personal definition of human factors engineering: make it intuitive to do right, hard to do wrong. So we need to have good human factors in our systems. So before you start thinking about how do we fix everything to make it human factored, realistically, the first part in your system that you should look at is, what are the hazards present and can we eliminate them? Can we remove and relocate the targets away from the hazards? These are kind of those first 2 steps in that hierarchy of control and in our safeguard hierarchy. Can we eliminate the hazard and can we remove and relocate the target? We need to re-engineer our system. If we can do the most effective things first, then our human performance program is actually going to see great improvement. Instead of trying to fix the people, we're trying to fix the system that the people work in. Now, when I say fixing the system that the people work in, I'm talking about making it intuitive, not just easy. And there's a difference between intuitive and easy. It's easy to push a button, right? That's not a hard thing to do, pushing that button. But sometimes there are buttons that we don't want pushed a lot. There are sometimes that there are buttons that we need to only push in an emergency. So again, making things intuitive and easy to do right means that I'm not going to just have a bunch of buttons all laid out in a big panel, because pushing buttons is so easy. I'm going to lay them out in a way that makes sense. I'm going to protect things that could cause a problem. So again, if I don't want them to accidentally push this button, I'm going to add a little hinge cover on it. Not a hard, not a complex thing, not an expensive thing to do, but I can make things intuitive to do right and make sense to protect from human error, to protect from mistakes. So these are the kinds of things we need to think about as we analyze our systems. We need to look at how do we make our systems more intuitive. And we can look at how people interact with these 3 different elements. Because if I'm looking for how to make things more intuitive, I need to understand how people are working with their equipment, how people are working inside of their environment, and how people are responding to the signals and information in their systems. So again, when we think about how people interact with their equipment, well, how do you know what equipment to use? How do you know how to interact to move that equipment? What type of displays and information are you getting from that equipment? And likewise, not just with equipment, but I need to see how people interact with their environment, right? The environment can change the way that people interact with things. If it's a really hot day or a really cold day, my brain may be thinking about, man, I just need to get some water. I need to get some water. I'm so thirsty, so hot and sweating right now. Or likewise, if it's minus 40 out and I'm out in the snow, well, I've got to run back in. I'm just thinking, how do I get back inside to the warmth as quickly as possible while the moisture freezes on my beard? So again, these things matter from equipment and environment, and the systems that we put people in matter too. Both the knowledge that it takes them to operate within that system, to know the signals when problems are coming in, and to know how to properly respond to them. And likewise, we need to also look at how our systems respond to people. Are errors and mistakes having signals, having ways of detection, right? Are they giving us information back? So when we are looking at our human performance system, we need to look at how people are interacting with these systems and look at how we can make them more intuitive. How can we give the right information to people? And how can we make it where it's easier for them to work and interact with their system? Now, I know what you're thinking, but this is a lot for me. I'm not a human performance expert. Well, if you're not a human performance expert, then there's good news out there for you, because we have the expertise to give you. So tip number 3 actually is to make sure that your root cause analysis doesn't stop at human error. So you don't want to stop at human error. You want to get further. So many RCA methods I've seen, and so many people I've seen deal with this stuff, they get right into it. They said, oh, we just stopped. We found that somebody made a mistake and we're done. But here's the thing. In your systems and with your people, mistakes are going to happen. Just like I said at the beginning, people are not perfect. You missed something in that first video. You weren't paying close enough attention. Maybe you were distracted. Maybe you were looking at emails. Who knows? But you missed something small, a small detail. And you made a mistake. And likewise, with anything that we've done, we make mistakes all the time. And understanding those mistakes is the key to making sure that you're improving the right things in your organization. See, context matters when it comes to investigations and being proactive. You have to understand the context in which people were making the decisions that they were making. You have to understand the context within the systems that people are working in. What signals did they have? How did they know what to do? What type of training and thinking did they have at the time? So you've got to have a system that helps you understand context. It helps you understand context. I've got another little video for you here. And I want you to pay attention. And I want you to think about this. Why did he not just look up? What was going through his mind at this time? What was he thinking? What was he experiencing? You can see he's putting in a valve right above his head. He could have just closed it right off had he looked. So why didn't he look up? Why didn't he notice it even before he started what he was doing, right? We need to understand the context behind this and not just go, oh, what an idiot, he should have noticed, right? If we just say that, then what's our fix? Oh, tell him to be more careful next time, or tell him to pay closer attention before he starts his work. But that's not what we want to do with our human performance program. We want to understand, why did the engineer put it up here? Why did he put it out of eye level? Who needs a shutoff valve way up in the sky, right? Why is it not in a place that is intuitive for people to work at? Shutoff valve shouldn't be, above your head. It should be eye level, working level, right? So we need to understand that. This is where having a good RCA system is important. Because again, if you're not a human factors expert, there might be some problems that you run into with what I call bias-based root cause analysis methods. So I've done a lot of RCA training over the years, and I've learned a lot of different methods. And I kind of made a list here of some of the bias-based RCA methods that I've seen. And why are these bias-based? Well, your knowledge drives your outcome. You've got to know the cause and effect relationship to find root cause. And what we find is a lot of these methods stop at things like human error. Because the person doing the investigating, the person gathering the facts, doesn't know better. They don't know how to go beyond that. They found a person made a mistake, and they're going to blame the person and move forward. Now, something else with these techniques is you've got to have something to go beyond. So we need to think, what could we give ourselves to help us go beyond the simple cause and effect that we know? Well, this is where Taproot is built different. Our RCA method is what we call an expert-guided system. It's proven to remove investigator bias, and it focuses on systems instead of blaming individuals. Yes, people make mistakes, but our process goes away from looking at blame and starts looking at that context we talked about. It uses facts and evidence to guide investigators to root cause. Now, if you want to learn more about the RRCA process, there are several options coming up. One of the best things that you can do to build a better human performance program is to attend the Stopping Human Error course. I'll be teaching it this year at the Taproot Summit. It's a great course. We go through different techniques for improving human performance, from the good to the bad, what actually works and what's the evidence behind what works. We also help you plan out and design what you're going to be doing and focusing on over the next few years in your human performance program. So it's a really great course to take a look at. You should also benchmark and work with other people. You can attend the Taproot Summit. It's a great networking opportunity to benchmark with people on their human performance programs and what they're doing to make improvement in their company. And lastly, if you need help with that root cause analysis portion, I highly recommend you attend a Taproot 2-day or 5-day root cause analysis course. You can visit all of those on our website. The links will be put down below. And lastly, you should really subscribe for more information. We do lots of cool videos like this and we give away lots of great information. So click that little subscribe button and reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm always wanting to hear from people and engage with people that are thinking about how to improve their human performance programs. So reach out to me. You can email me or you can email us at info@taproot.com.